A cold breeze drifted through the glass door as 12-year-old Ethan, a disabled boy who walked with crutches, entered Rusty Eagle Diner, a small but iconic roadside cafe in rural Arizona. It was the kind of place where truckers, families, and local ranch hands gathered for breakfast. But on this particular evening, the diner had only one empty seat left, and it was at a corner booth occupied by a massive biker wearing a leather vest, chains, and heavy boots. His club patch read, Iron Vipers MC. Ethan looked around nervously. Everyone else seemed too busy, too crowded, or too loud. His mother had stepped outside to take a phone call and asked him to find a seat. The diner's hum, clinking plates, soft chatter, sizzling grills suddenly felt overwhelming. Ethan swallowed hard, adjusted his grip on his crutches, and slowly approached the intimidating figure. The biker Hawk was a man who looked like he had seen a dozen lifetimes of trouble. A thick beard, tattooed arms, and sharp eyes made most people avoid him. But there was something tired in his gaze too, like someone carrying a heavy past. He sat alone, flipping through a grease-stained menu, not expecting anyone to approach. Sir," Ethan whispered. Hawk didn't look up. Ethan tried again, this time louder, though his voice still trembled. "Sir C, can I share this table?" The entire diner seemed to freeze. A couple eating at the counter turned to watch. A waitress paused mid-pour. Even the cook peeked through the kitchen window. They had seen bikers before, but none who liked being disturbed. Hawk slowly lifted his eyes. His expression was unreadable. "What?" he growled. Ethan's hands shook on his crutches. "Everywhere else is full, and my mom told me to sit, so I'm sorry." Hawk stared for a long moment, then something unexpected softened in his eyes. He moved his plate aside and grunted, "Sit." Not angrily, but firmly, like an order from someone not used to being gentle yet trying. Ethan smiled nervously and slid into the booth, positioning his crutches carefully. The biker watched, noticing how difficult even that small movement was for the boy. Something twisted in Hawk's chest, a memory, faint but sharp, the face of his younger brother, who had the same condition and had passed years ago. "What's your name, kid?" Hawk asked. "Ethan." "Good name." Ethan relaxed a little. "Thank you for letting me sit." Hawk shrugged. "Everyone deserves a place to sit." The diner loosened up again. Conversations resumed, but waitresses still exchanged surprised looks. None had ever seen Hawk behave kindly to strangers. As Ethan browsed the menu, he struggled to hold it steady. His hands didn't cooperate well, and it slipped. Before it fell, Hawk caught it with surprising speed. "You like burgers?" Hawk asked. Ethan nodded. "Then get the double cheese, best thing here." Ethan laughed softly. For the first time since he'd walked in, he felt safe. He had no idea that the biker's kindness had only begun, and that what Hawk would do next would shock everyone in the diner, especially Ethan's mother. Ethan's mother, Rachel, stepped back into the diner just as Hawk and the boy shared a quiet laugh over the menu. She froze, stunned to see her fragile son sitting with a man who looked like he rode straight out of an outlaw movie. His leather vest, the roaring motorcycle parked outside, the club patch, everything screamed danger. But Ethan looked happy. Relaxed, something she rarely saw. Before she could approach, Hawk raised a hand politely, signaling her to wait a moment. Then he turned to Ethan. "Kid," he said, leaning in with a serious expression, "how about a deal? You promise me you'll never let anyone make you feel small. And I promise you, anytime you see the Iron Vipers around, you've got a seat with us." Ethan's eyes widened. "Really?" Hawk nodded. "Really?" Rachel slowly approached the table. "Ethan, sweetheart, are you okay?" Ethan beamed. "Mom, this is Hawk. He let me sit with him. He's really nice." The biker stood up, towering, intimidating, and yet unexpectedly respectful. "Ma'am, your boy here's got courage. Walking up to a guy like me, most grown men don't do that." Rachel forced a nervous smile. "Thank you for being kind to him." Hawk scratched his beard. "Not kindness, respect." A waitress delivered their meals, but Hawk didn't sit back down. Instead, he reached into his vest pocket, pulled out a small embroidered patch, and placed it gently in front of Ethan. It was a scaled-down version of the Iron Viper's MC emblem, a coiled viper wrapped around a shield. This, Hawk said, is for special people only, strong souls, brave hearts. My brother had one like this before he passed. The diner fell silent again. Ethan's voice softened. Did he have the same disability I have? Hawk nodded, his eyes glossy. Yeah, and he never let it stop him. He'd want you to have this. Everyone in the diner felt the weight of that moment, the merging of two worlds no one expected to touch. Then, just as Rachel reached for her wallet, Hawk stopped her. No way, he said. The kid's meal is on me. He walked to the counter, dropped a wad of cash big enough to cover half the diner's orders, and returned with a determined look. Ethan, he said, kneeling so he was eye level, I want you to remember something. You're not alone. You've got people who'll stand with you, even bikers. Tears filled Rachel's eyes. The cook watched from the kitchen. 2 truckers wiped their faces discreetly. Even the tough waitress sniffled. Ethan clutched the patch against his chest like a treasure. Thank you, Hawk, he whispered. The biker placed a steady hand on the boy's shoulder. Anytime, kid. Then he stood, walked outside, and fired up his roaring Harley. But before driving off, he pointed at Ethan through the diner window, gave him a 2-finger salute, and mouthed, Stay strong. The entire diner erupted in applause. No one forgot that night, the night a disabled boy asked a simple question, and the toughest biker in Arizona showed the world what real strength looks like.